Guys, we have to talk about this study. Dogs can detect COVID more accurately than rapid antigen tests. So dogs are amazing. Their noses can detect substances at a concentration of 1 in a trillion, which is better than our most sensitive medical devices. And dogs, we know, are at airports to detect narcotics and explosives, but they've also been trained for medical purposes. Dogs can detect lung cancer and melanoma and colon cancer and breast cancer. So it's not surprising that dogs can be trained to detect SARS-CoV-2 or novel coronavirus. In fact, there have been several lab studies that have suggested that dogs can distinguish between positive and negative samples for this virus. What they've done in this study that's a little bit different is that they've brought this into the real world. They've actually brought trained dogs to the airport and determined whether they can do this as effectively in a real world setting. And first, they did this with over 400 different test samples, and they found that the dogs had a 97% accuracy for identifying the original variant, which is the variant that they were trained on. And they brought them into the airport environment and looked at over 300 people and found a very similar accuracy, though difficult to fully characterize because so few people in that airport environment actually had the virus. But what I thought was probably the most interesting thing about this study is that the dogs performed much less well in detecting the alpha variant than the original variant, which they've been trained on. And that tells you that these minor differences between variants that for us, we need genetic sequencing to actually detect, these dogs were able to detect with just a sniff. So why aren't we using this at hospitals or on your way into a concert or a nursing home or an airport even? It's a lot more pleasant than sticking something up your nose. It's pet therapy. It's a lot faster. It's more accurate than a rapid antigen test, at least for ruling out COVID disease. So it's very good as a screening test whereby if anybody is picked up by the dog, they can have a confirmatory RAT test or PCR, but it's very good to rule out people having SARS-CoV-2 infection. I think the reason this hasn't taken off in this disease and in other diseases is that to some extent we kind of like high-tech, shiny new things. And another piece is that we don't really understand how dogs do this, and I think we're very hesitant in science to deploy things that we don't fully understand. But I think to some extent we just need to let go. We need to accept that dogs are a lot better than us at a lot of different things, and this is one of them.